So, I came across a post on Facebook earlier today by a friend of mine who posted about a movie called Men by the director Alex Garland. And he said, I'm paraphrasing here. He said, "Man, this really gets to the heart of the issue." And I haven't seen the movie, and I wasn't 100% sure what he meant. But based on the name of the movie and the kind of person we're talking about, a kind of, a well meaning guy, but a cosmopolitan, liberal kind of guy, I had a feeling I knew what he was talking about. So I Googled the movie, and it was pretty much exactly what I expected. It's a horror movie, and it is an overwrought metaphor for pandering to the civilizational hysteria that women have been infected with through social media and the echo chambers that it creates. And I took a look at the reviews, which, somewhat to my surprise, were mostly negative, but not for the reasons you might hope. It was almost exclusively women saying that, Alex Garland is looking at feminist struggles from a man's perspective. He doesn't really get it. He might be sympathetic, but he can't really understand a woman's perspective. But there was basically zero critiques whatsoever that were questioning the whole narrative to begin with, questioning the entire mythos of the patriarchy and the way that women's spaces in social media created into, almost like a creation myth, a biblical story for them to rally around and to justify their ontological worldview. And no critiques considering the idea that the whole thing is just a racket to sell Judith Butler novels. And, within the same hour, which just kind of goes to prove how much this man versus woman cultural debacle that we live in, that we are quicksanded into, is pushed onto us by algorithms. I really need to get off social media. But it goes to show, I saw an image that was a screenshot, two screenshots, one asking from Google, "Why is my husband yelling at me?" And the other, "Why is my wife yelling at me?" Now, on the one hand, the one asking, "Why is my husband yelling at me?" it says, well, he's got a need for power and domination, and he might be emotionally underdeveloped, and he wasn't taught the right communication skills by his parents. It completely pathologizes the man, and it completely removes any agency from him. It does not give him the consideration or respect of the possibility that the reason that he is upset or frustrated could be predicated upon any legitimate grievance, anything, that was done wrong to him. And when you look at the other hand, why is my wife yelling at me? Well, it might be because of her past traumas. She might not feel emotionally attended to. She might not feel heard. And this is pretty much the exact opposite. If the man is upset about something, if he's yelling, there's got to be something deeply wrong with him in his psyche. It couldn't possibly be any legitimate grievance. But with the woman, now, she is free of sin. She has done no wrong. And you just got to do better. It's nonsense. It's overt propaganda, and it is designed to cater to the anti-male rhetoric that is so common in online spaces, that is so normalized in mainstream social media today, and that teaches women to hate men, to be afraid of men, to view the idea of masculinity itself as dangerous and as a social pathogen that needs to be controlled. And it removes them of any accountability for their own actions. And it doesn't dignify the man as ever possibly having a legitimate concern. And this is the entire problem that underpins the feminist movement today. If you are a woman that objects to the feminist movement, you're a pick-me. You have internalized misogyny. You're not allowed to have any legitimate, rational complaints, observations, insights, analyses of the movement that points out any sort of overreach, any sort of misalignment with reality. You've got something pathologically wrong with you. And you just need to see their point of view. Don't argue with them. It's the same with, why are men moving right? Who is going to be the Joe Rogan of the left? There's never, whenever they're talking about it, it's always from the perspective of, how do we get men to see our point of view? How do we get them to listen to our message? How do we get them to agree with us? But there's never stepping back, abstracting yourself from the dialogue and asking, maybe there's something wrong with the message. Maybe there's something wrong with what I want. It's never a possibility that you must introspect and assess the platform and evaluate it as something that has gone awry. Men are not given the due consideration of agency, of having any sort of potential for looking at it objectively, and it's just something internal with them. It's a fault in them to disagree.